This is the free astrotheology course. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. One moment, let me try to make the camera. All right. Okay, so welcome y'all. Let's continue with the introduction. This is the free astrotheology course. I'm Dr. Yasapa. Black Cafe. No sugar.
Not too bad.
Correct. This is the free astrotheology course. 1 second. Our textbook is The Devil's Pulpit. All right, The Devil's Pulpit by Robert Taylor. Okay, the link to the free PDF is in the description area of this video, along with links to the Ancient Ibaryath books that I have written. So for those of you who have already purchased my books, I want to say thank you for your support, and it's one of the best things that you could have done for yourself. Make sure y'all get the Ancient Ibaryath dictionary that I wrote. It's the title is Dr. Yasapa's Ancient Ibaryath Aramaic and English Lexicon, something like that. It is a root word dictionary. Let me repeat that. Root word dictionary. It does not contain every word. It contains every root word that's in the Hebrew scriptures, okay, or Old Testament. Every root word, not every word. Root words are the building blocks of words, okay? So if you know the root words, then you can deal with the words, okay? That's the key, the root words. So with that dictionary, I simplified everything. I simplified everything and made the words legible so you can read them. And it's Ancient Ibaryath. It's not modern or biblical Hebrew, okay? So please do not slander me or libel me, all right? It is a root word dictionary, okay? And it is not cheap. If you're looking for something cheap, you go out and buy what you've been getting. You go buy the Jewish literature. You go buy the Jewish people's literature, okay? I put a lot of work and effort into it, and y'all can, do whatever you want, but do not slander me, all right? If you don't know what a root word dictionary is and you're not mature enough to read the description of the product, just don't buy it, okay? It is not like a Strong's lexicon. That's not what it is, okay? It is a root word dictionary. Get it clear. It is what you should learn. You should learn the root words. That's the place to start. When you learn roots, you can learn all of the words, because the roots are the building blocks of words, okay? Let me make that clear. All right. But anyway, I got links to a lot of Ancient Ibaryath books that I have written in the description area of the video. Okay? So for those of y'all who want the Ibaryath or the Paleo Hebrew or the Ancient Phoenician Hebrew, whatever you want to call it, the dictionary is there for you. For those of you who want to learn about law, the book of the law, the Deuteronomy 28 book, and Exodus chapter 20 book. So that's the 10 Commandments and the terms of the contract I have books there for you. The Ten Commandments is 101 Ancient Ibaryath. It has a brown cover. Deuteronomy 28, it has a purple cover, and the title is I Can Read Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay, so now let's get into our lesson today. Oh, by the way, you can also subscribe to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, and you can come to the Saturday class on Sundays at 10 a.m. Sundays at 10 a.m. Okay, so if y'all are, let me say this. If you're looking for a religion or a religious experience, you're in the wrong place. I don't have that for you. If you want to learn law, the book of the law, I got that all day. Okay, I got that all day for you. All right, if you're looking for an emotional experience or a trip, this is not the place for you. If you're looking to learn, gain knowledge about nature, about science, you're in the right place. Okay, you're in the right place. Come see me on Saturday. I'm by an airport right now. Come see me on Saturday at 10 a.m. Okay, the link to the class is in the description area of this video. It's 506 The Curses course. This coffee is terrible. Yes. I'm not going to drink the whole glass anyway. Yeah. All right. So let's get back into it, y'all. We were talking about the Druids. That's where we left off. And our last video, the Druids. Okay? The Druids. So obviously these are Moors, and these are part of the group that went bad, or the initial group that went bad. What I mean by they went bad is that they are the initial group of people, at least according to this book, that began to personify natural phenomena into deities. Okay, because they wanted the fame, the glory, and they wanted control, more control. Okay, more control over what? Everything that y'all was willing to give, that our ancestors was willing to give them. It wasn't about money, because everybody had their own stuff. Everybody had a lot. It wasn't about money. So let's get into it, okay? We're on page 4. Page 4. Well, let me say this also. The Al-Moroccan Empire. Y'all know how on our letterhead you see Temple of the Moon and Sun? Y'all remember that? Temple of the Moon and the Sun? The Al-Moroccan Empire? North America? Keep that in mind. The blessings of nature were personified and its qualities the same as those of deity, taught by every symbol which nature affords, symbols such as Venus, the star Venus, the sun, the moon, the constellation, individual stars, individual planets, okay, trees, you name it, they deified it, okay? Why? Because they wanted to create mysteries. Why do they want to create mysteries or mystify nature? To get you to activate your imagination and to get you to turn to them to give an explanation, right? I mean, because they're the one who started it. They told you about it, so they must know more, right? So they were just reeling you in mentally, reeling you in psychologically. So let's continue. The heavens and the stars were divided into hosts. So these are the constellations. Okay, so the zodiacs and the deacons and everything else, there are about 48 constellations according to our ancestors, ancient ancestors. Okay, with all imaginable qualities. So, for example, Aquarius has qualities, Taurus has qualities, characteristics. Okay, Libra, qualities and characteristics. Okay, in proportion as facts were really unknown. Now, there is some truth in that. The only way that that could be known is that you have tens and tens or even hundreds of thousands of years to observe. To observe. That's the only way that's possible. Why? Because one, people expire. Two, patterns. Patterns. You can look into the sky if you recognize patterns. Not just with the constellations or the configuration of the stars per season, but you can correlate that with what's happening politically amongst nations or amongst families organized as nations, amongst kingdoms, amongst empires, kingdoms organized as empires. Y'all see what I mean? Over time, you can observe patterns, right? Same way you can observe patterns when you live long enough, you can observe patterns in the way people behave, right? You can see something in a person and then boom, you know, because this is when you get older or when you have a lot of experience, right? And then you start seeing patterns in people. So pattern recognition. Right? Y'all hear a lot about this with artificial intelligence. Pattern recognition. Can I have more? Do you have a talk? You have a talk class?
Em chăm cho.
Okay.
Em sẽ film.
Okay, y'all? So in that sense, it's possible. Now, another possibility is this. So, I'm not pushing a doctrine. I'm not telling you that this is the way it is or this is not the way it is. So let me make that clear first. Okay? But according to the Hermetic laws and according to Buddhism, I'm not talking about the religion. Now y'all got to remember that what we are taught as religions initially were sciences, and they were remixed into religion. Okay, so let me make that clear. So according to the science of Buddhism and the Hermetic laws, according to nature, natural law, consciousness, of course, is awareness, is intelligence. And there is no beginning to intelligence, and there is no end to intelligence. It is eternal. Y'all understand? It's eternal. So when the physical body dies, your consciousness remains. Your consciousness remains. Okay? It's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Okay? How about that? It's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So, of course, y'all have heard about the Wheel of Life. At least I hope y'all have heard about the Wheel of Life. This is saying that this is real big in the East, y'all. Real big in the East. So when a living thing expires, their consciousness goes into another life form. Okay, and the dynamics of that is not what I'm interested in discussing. But let's suppose a man expires in his physical body and he comes back. In the West, they call it reincarnation. Now, I'm not telling you that this is what happens. I'm not trying to push a doctrine. I'm talking about science. I'm not saying you should believe this or that when you expire, you're coming back. I'm not saying that. Let me make it clear, okay? So, if that is the case, according to the Hermeticists, we see this also in Buddhism, we see it across the Eastern world. And it used to be in the Americas. This concept used to be in the Americas. Why do y'all think our ancestors was willing to give up the ghosts, as it were? Because in their mind, they knew they were coming back. Y'all got it? They knew they were coming back. And if they gave up the ghost or expired in honor, doing honorable things, they come back in even a better situation. Unlike Christianity, what they replaced that with is that when you expire, you're going to burn in hell. Nobody knows if you're going to go to heaven or hell and burn for eternity. So now the people are afraid of death, afraid to expire. Now they're willing to betray each other. Y'all see the psychological game that has been played with you? Y'all all cowards. Men wearing purses and dresses and lipstick, acting like women. You know, some of the craziest things that I see that, you know, just baffles me. Men publicly talking about a woman needs to, any woman they get with, they got to have their own money. They got to, this is, what is a woman bringing to the table? This is the most ridiculous stuff in the world. You don't know anything about being a man. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Y'all trust me, that's just a trend. Life will prove you wrong in that. Okay? What does a woman bring to the table? Money, and this is the most ridiculous thing in the world. But anyway, let me get back to it. So, according to the Eastern science, I'm going to include the Hermetic laws in that. When you come back, you can come back with memory of past lives. Y'all hear me? I heard someone talking about, I don't know if this is true, but I'll tell y'all a story. Y'all remember that movie Men in Black? I never saw it. Men in Black with Will Smith. I heard the story, they would shine a bright light in your face, make you lose your memory. And I was thinking, you know, when we used to deliver babies, we'd have that bright light. But I never thought about it, you know, because when I first started, you know, you don't question things, right? It doesn't come to mind to question things. It seems innocent. But there'd be that bright light when the baby comes out. And I always thought the bright light was just like for warmth. You know, because you don't need a bright light to deliver a baby. But I never put two and two together until I heard someone say that they put the bright light to erase the memory of your past life. I said, oh, that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Because why else would you need it? But anyway, I don't know. I'm just talking, telling stories. But in those days where women gave birth naturally, if it's so that you can come back with memory, well, then it becomes very clear or very obvious or evident how the pattern recognition in terms of the configuration of the stars during each month of the year, during each season, political events, men and women's personalities, the effects of the angles of the rays of light or the energies coming from the sun, the moon, the planets, how they affect planet Earth, it becomes obvious that it's possible. It becomes very obvious that it is possible, okay, to be able to track it. Now, again, let me emphasize, I'm not pushing a doctrine. I'm sharing information with y'all so you can think. And this is the Hermetic laws. Okay? Consciousness always is. Okay? Always was. It's not subject to birth, not subject to death. It had no beginning, it had no end. Consciousness is awareness. Awareness is intelligence. Okay? Thought. And what is man? Man is thought. There never was a time when man was not. So man on the earth plane, let me repeat it, man on the earth plane is made from the dust of the ground. So therefore, man is thought made manifest. Man manifest. Y'all got it? Man is a condensed form of manifest. So man is both masculine and feminine. Clear? And all material things have consciousness. Okay? All material things have consciousness. Hermetically. I'll explain that at a different time. So let's continue in this. The heavens and the stars were divided into hosts with all imaginable qualities in proportion as facts were really unknown. So that's what I'm dealing with. The facts were really unknown. If you look at it in one lifetime, but if you look at it in context of everything I just discussed, well, the facts could be known, right? Because of pattern recognition, lifespan, the number of lifespans, and the number of years that you've lived in one lifespan. Y'all get it? But anyway, let's not prolong that. And natural phenomena were exhibited in fable. Y'all see that? And natural phenomena was exhibited in fable. Fable, these are fairy tales. Fairy tale. Natural, in other words, the natural phenomena was anthropomorphized into gods and goddesses. Natural phenomena like wind and lightning, the sun, they were turned into gods. They were personified, given personalities and biographies, like I mentioned in the last video, and like I talk about all the time. And it's not just me saying it. A lot of people are saying it, right? Not just me. Let's continue. A conjunction of the moon or planets was called a marriage. So now here we get the origin of marriage. It is astrological. Here's a moon and here's a planet. This is a conjunction. All right? There's the origin of marriage, but go back and listen to the video I did right before this one, and you can see what the hybrids have done in terms of remixing marriage. So all of y'all who are married, it has its origin in astrology. It's remixed. Now it's remixed into a bottomry or debt system. Y'all got me? You got to fill out an application. You got to get a license. You got to, and in all of that, you're giving yourself, your consort, and your heirs, you're selling them into slavery or into bondage. Watch the video I did, number 2, before this one to get more on that. Okay? So there's your remix coming out of nature, where you are obligated to follow the Most High's instructions, to follow His laws. This would be in religion, the Mosaic laws. And you're shipped out on the good ship Jesus into Christian. Let me repeat that. You're shipped out on the good ship Jesus into Admiralty, Maritime, Catholic, Christian, canon, corporate policy jurisdiction. There's your marriage license, your bottomry instruments, your bondage. Okay? Let's continue. Let's continue. And the sun assumed every garb according to the season and constellation in which it was. So every garb means the characteristics, the personality of each constellation. So I talked about this yesterday. I'm just going to read through it, okay? A raging lion in midsummer when the sun was in Leo, an ox in spring when the sun was in Taurus, and in later times, quote unquote, the Lamb of God. When the sun, of course, all right, y'all. I had to wait for the plane to go by. And in later times, which is in Pisces, not Pisces, but Aries, but in later times, I would be Aries, the Lamb of God, when the sun took the cross and passed the equator in Aries the Ram. A noxious scorpion in autumn. So the scorpion also, if my memory serves me correctly, is also represented by an eagle in ancient times. All right? So a noxious scorpion in autumn, when the sun is in that sign, descending below the equator, that's when Christ gets crucified, right? And becoming the harbinger of winter and desolation. So y'all watch again the video I did yesterday to get more about this topic, okay? Because there's a lot here I'm not talking about right now. And the sun became a man, that would be Aquarius, in the sign Aquarius, or watery season. And in that character was so worshipped. Y'all got it, Empress Rowo Rai Shalawama. It sounds like you are sitting in rush hour traffic. Not yet, actually. I'm near an airport. It's 6:50 in the morning here. And unfortunately, I haven't found a better place to go to live stream. So I need to find a location, a better location. But you know, it is what it is. Y'all, if y'all want, y'all can support, and I can just rent an apartment near here where I'm at, because I'm going to be here regularly for about the next 6 months to a year. I'll be coming here. So if y'all want if y'all want not to hear the traffic and the noise and a better background, my PayPal is paypal.me/Zion Law School. Okay, so if y'all support it, I will rent a place near here so that I can do this stuff in peace. You know, it would be a better experience for everybody. Okay, so now let's continue. And these 4 signs, now remember y'all, our ancient ancestors did not worship. The worship is part of the remix. Worshiping external deities is the remix of science into religion. Okay, our ancestors observed and studied and experimented and created. All of that was remixed into religion. Okay? All right. And these four signs, these are the cardinal signs, formed the celebrated cherubim, which ornamented the columns equally of the Jewish, that's religion, see that, and heathen temples. For example, Mithraism and all of this stuff. And remember, y'all, religion is not ancient. Religion is not ancient. And have come down to our times and associated with Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the four Gospels represent the four seasons. For one of these signs are attributed to each, those are the cardinal signs, and are thus painted on the windows of the cathedral, Trinity Church, Broadway, New York, built in imitation of an old European church who copied it from a Roman church. Y'all got that? This is Christianity. Showing the connection of Christianity with the ancient worship and throwing some doubt on the reality even of the existence in the flesh and blood of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. For here on the windows of Trinity are they represented as emblems of the seasons, that would be winter, summer, spring, and fall, and of the seasons too, as they were 5,000 years ago. Okay, so go back and listen to the video I did yesterday to get these are different zodiacal ages, okay? The 5,000 years. But more than that, if Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John didn't exist, well, obviously JC didn't exist, right? I discussed this more yesterday, so y'all go back and get more if you're interested, all right? To make these subjects plain, we have introduced a cut. Here's the cut. Here's what he's talking about. This is Vale's cut. This is a globe cut in half, and you're seeing the stars, the constellations rather. So this is, if I remember correctly, a sine, a wave, okay? S-I-N, sin, sine, from calculus, if I remember. That's going way back to my college days, y'all. Okay, so we're on page 5 now of the introduction. To make these subjects plain, we have introduced a cut, Vale's globe, and sphere would be better. The ancients had something of the kind, but not this. Why? Because modern astrologists have changed and added. Okay, so for example, Libra, well, I'll go into it again, but I'll go into it later because I'll get off into a whole long discussion. These are the 12 zodiac signs. The images or glyphs representing them, modern astrologists have changed some of them. That's the author's point. Modern astrologists have changed some of them. So what do we need to do? We need to return to living the principles and heritage, the lifestyle of our ancient foremothers and forefathers. In this context, it means we need to restore the zodiac to the way our ancient ancestors presented it, okay, along with the glyphs and the stories, all right? So that's a task we have to do as a people. If it's modern, it's not ours, okay? Unless, of course, it was hidden and somebody spilled the beans, but that takes study and analysis, right? But anyway, let's keep it at that and we'll keep it pushing. The ancients had something of the kind. I just showed y'all a zodiac. So as to follow their pursuits and their studies. What studies? Studies of nature. Making technology. Making things. Not debating doctrine. Y'all heard? Not debating doctrine, but making things. Megalithic structures. Architectural structures aligned with the stars and the constellations. Demonstrating for the ages their brilliance and their connection and connectivity to the earth and to the celestial bodies. Megalithic structures that had copper domes to create and provide electricity, free wireless electricity to the masses. This is what our ancient ancestors did. They didn't debate on YouTube. They didn't debate with the intent of destroying somebody's reputation, destroying their livelihood. Okay, so that's low vibrational, low level trash. When you learn, the next step is to do. Observe, study, experiment, create. Psalms 82:6. All of you are gods, sons of the Most High. But it's not a God, G-O-D. You're all creators of reality. You are all creators of reality. How do you do it? You do it by using the natural laws, the same way you see it done now. You create using the natural laws. You don't create using religion. That's why we as a people have gone backwards instead of forward. All right? You use law to counterbalance law. When you see a plane take off or a rocket take off and then it stays in the sky, how is it happening? They're using natural law to counterbalance the effects of those natural laws that would cause that plane to crash on the ground. It's a simple concept. Let's continue. So until you begin to create, it can be create literature. You can create a better type of communication by cell phone. Okay? You can create a better way to fly. You can create better glasses. Or like Dr. Clark said, you can create a paperclip. And after a paperclip, once you master that, a pair of drawers, underwear. But of course, that takes our people being willing to buy and being willing to, just like y'all see the Jewish people and the Arabs, they'll buy from Jewish people and Arabs even though their product is inferior. They still buy. Why? Because they all understand that as they buy, those companies, those entrepreneurs need the money so that they can improve their product, improve their in-house technology, improve their product and their service. See, everybody understands that. But the blacks, the African Americans, the Latinos, the Mexicans, all of y'all Indians have been indoctrinated to have no self-respect or love for yourself and for your own people. Okay, to be fiercely selfish and self-centered. To your own detriment, right? Remember the natural law. Don't harm anybody, including yourself. Okay? So I'm talking group economics. Anyway, let's continue, okay? Let's continue. The ancients had something of the kind, that is a zodiac, so as to follow their pursuits and their studies, as well as in their temples. Not temples, y'all. Not temples. Universities. Universities. All right? So these temples and churches in ancient times, they were learning centers, universities. Okay? Or astronomical towers. I'm on page 5. The engraving must be a substitute. Now I showed y'all the engraving with the sign. The two parts of the engraving, the two parts of this engraving represents the two halves of the heavens. Okay? These placed back to back and inflated would represent the heavens or celestial globe. Now I showed y'all that. I'm gonna show it one more again, and then I ain't gonna show it again. This is what he's talking about. All right? Okay. Imagine the earth in the middle, the north and the south poles, of which corresponding in position to the north and south poles of the heavens, and the equator of the earth exactly under the equator marked west, east in the heavens. So I need to show y'all that. So here's the winter solstice, this dot, the winter solstice, right? The sun is at its highest point in the northern part of space. Down here you'll see this dot, the summer solstice. Let me repeat that. In the north, that's the summer solstice. The sun is in the highest part, or its most northerly part of the heavens. Here, this is the winter solstice. The sun is in its most southerly part of space. Okay? So this is the meridian of the heavens. It's an imaginary border. So the earth is going to be somewhere around here, just below somewhere around this line. Remember, this is the equator. So this is 0 degrees. So the earth is going to be somewhere here on the equator. All right? So let's continue. Then the curved line, that's the sign. Okay, the curved line where y'all saw the zodiac signs. Then the curved line with figures and signs on it represents the passage of the sun, both as it was 2,500 years ago and as it is now. So let me show you what he's talking about. Now y'all should remember the concept of the progression of the equinoxes. So the sun, so this is the apparent path of the sun from the point of view of Earth. Okay, this is the apparent path of the sun. These images, these are the zodiac signs. So you see one on top. So Pisces, if we're in Pisces, we would be here. Spring, right? Every spring begins in, let me repeat that. If we are in Pisces, then due to the retrograde motion, or the apparent retrograde motion of the celestial bodies, here we see Aries. Y'all see it? So Aries is beginning each year, but we're in Pisces. Okay? All right. So it continues. Then the curved line with figures and signs on it will represent the passage of the sun, both as it was 2,500 years ago and as it is now. This line is called the ecliptic. So that line is the ecliptic. I guess I should have showed y'all that. This sine wave, this is the ecliptic. Can y'all see it? This is the ecliptic. All right. Okay. Let me check the time. Give me 1 second. Oh, wow, time is flying. Okay, let's continue. We're on page 5 still. Observe to the left hand where the sun crosses the equator or is just over the equator of the earth. It is in that part of the heaven marked west. And this is known, in fact, by the perpendicular rays of the sun striking the equator of the earth. So let me see if I can show y'all. West. Okay, here we are. So here's west. Okay? So the sun will strike, the sun's rays or the celestial body's waves. The sun is a celestial body. Strikes perpendicularly at the equator. Okay? Observe to the left hand where the sun crosses the equator. I just showed y'all that. Or is just over the equator of the earth. It is in the part of the heavens marked W for west. And this is known, in fact, by the perpendicular rays of the sun striking on the equator of the earth, and which time we call spring. So at spring, the rays of the earth are striking the earth perpendicularly. Okay, so that's spring. That is, we always call it spring. Note, y'all. Note, this is the important definition. We always call it spring when the sun, after winter, reaches the equator. It's not based upon the sign, the zodiac sign. It's based upon the season. Okay, remember? So due to the progression of the equinoxes, the zodiac sign will change every age. An age is a great year, 25,900 years divided by 12 zodiac signs. That gives you the number of years in an age. An age is the number of years that when you go outside at about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, when the sun is coming up above the equator, up above the horizon rather, you look out to the east. Just above the horizon, you'll see a constellation. That constellation is the zodiacal age that we are in. It changes every 25,000, every 2,500 years or so. Okay, this is what he's talking about. So what determines spring? Spring comes after winter. Not the zodiacal age, keep that in mind. The place of orientation is also the northern hemisphere. All right, keep that in mind. Okay? So let's continue. And what's going to happen? What's going to happen after winter? The rays of the sun will strike the earth at the equator perpendicularly. Okay? Let me read it again. That is, we always call it spring when the sun, sun after winter, reaches the equator, and this point happen where and when it will. That means regardless of the zodiac sign. We call the first point of Aries. Y'all got that? We call the first point of Aries the ram, and mark it on the ecliptic with the ram's horn. So let me show y'all that. Now again, spring will begin under a different zodiac depending on the zodiacal age. Okay? All right, so make that clear. I hope it's clear. Our ancient ancestors did not begin the year in the spring. They began the year, I believe, it was in the harvest. I don't remember if it's Libra or Virgo. I got to go back and check it, y'all. When does the harvest start? When does the harvest start? Whenever the harvest season begins, it's either Libra or Virgo. I'll check it. I should remember, but right now I don't remember. Okay, but they began it in the harvest, which is a covenant of grace. Okay, so the hybrids under maritime, admiralty, Catholic, Christian, canon, corporate policy, they begin the year in Aries or spring, which is the covenant of work, the covenant of labor. Okay, so it should be clear, right? If you don't have an inheritance, you don't have access to your inheritance, you need to do what? You need to work. You need to toil at the sweat of your brow. If you have an inheritance, if you have access to your estate, you're in the covenant of grace. That's true wealth. That's true wealth. Your wealth is the earth. And by the way, land is the substance and subject matter of the law. If it ain't about law, if it ain't about Moors, if it ain't about gold and silver, it ain't about nothing. Get out of here. I don't want to hear it. Okay, you're talking BS. I'm not going to even give you the respect, the credibility of even listening to it if it ain't about those things. Right? Because there's only two options. There's blessings and curses. There's nature, and then there's the corporate state. So anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. I got to start back at the semicolon, y'all, so this will make sense. At the colon. That is, we always call it spring when the sun, after winter, reaches the equator. And this point happen where and when it will, we will call the first point of Aries. So Aries, according to the hybrids, is the first zodiac sign. And mark it on the ecliptic with the ram's horn. Every 30 degrees, we call a sign. Every 30 degrees, we call a sign. 30 degrees, 30 days. Okay, 12 of which make the whole circle, or 360 degrees. 360 days. The sun's apparent motion is through these signs or constellations, beginning in the spring with Aries. So Aries is the first zodiac sign. Pisces is the last, or the 12th zodiac sign. Okay, after Pisces, you go back to Aries. Okay, so the sun's apparent motion is through these signs or conjunctions, beginning in the spring with Aries, the ram, Taurus, the bull, Gemini, the twins, Cancer, the crab, Leo, the lion, Virgo, the virgin. Christ is said to be born by the birth. Christ's mother is a Virgin Mary. JC is said to be born in Virgo, the sun in Virgo. Okay, we'll get into more of that later. Libra, the balance, Scorpio, the scorpion, Sagittarius, the archer, Capricorn, the goat, Aquarius, the water. Now remember, the sign for Aquarius is not water waves, waves of the ocean. It's lightning bolts. Lightning bolts come from clouds. Clouds are water bearers. Okay? And Pisces, the fish. Clear? Is it clear, everybody? All right. So this is on page 6. The sun, the sun sun, during the year passes through these signs, rising above the equator in spring. The sun rises above the equator in the spring. That's Passover for the Jewish people and you Hebrew Israelites. And that's Easter for you good Christians. And reaching the greatest declination, that means its lowest point in the south, or distance from the equator to the north. Okay, so we're dealing with the north, so that's the summer solstice. Okay, at midsummer, or in 3 months. 90 days, so y'all will correlate, you Hebrew Israelites, also Jewish people, you'll correlate these 90-day periods with your feast days. 90-day periods with your feast days, adding 1 day. Right? Adding 1 day. Okay, so let's continue. 1 day for each 90-day period. I don't know if I'm going to, I did a calendar. I'm not going to get into that. Y'all figure that out on your own. Okay? So in reaching the greatest declination or distance from the equator to the north at midsummer or in 3 months. And inclining toward the equator at autumn, that means falling, going south toward the equator at autumn, which it crosses at that time. That's JC, the Christ figure, being crucified. Okay? Falling. The Christ, JC, the Christ figure, falling, set, sunset, set, Horus, evil brother, Christ being humiliated, the Prince of Darkness, ruling, meaning that the number of nighttime hours are increasingly more than the number of daytime hours. So darkness begins to rule. Christ is being humiliated, slapped, and beaten by the Romans. Okay? As it is this declination of the sun, which gives our seasons, for when the sun is north of the equator in the heavens, it shines to the north of the equator on the earth, and gives summer to that part and winter to the south, and vice versa. All right, so y'all correlate the 4 seasons with your feast days, with the cardinal signs. Right here are your cardinal signs: the cross, the equatorial points, the celestial, the solstices. Okay, this is your cross, the Christian cross. Okay, at each 90-degree angle, there are what? 90 days. Add an extra day at each 90-day point. You can work out your feast days calendar. All right. I gotta run, y'all. Islam to all the Moors. Thank all of y'all for y'all support. Be sure to support my project to write the book of the law in Ancient Ibaryath and modern English, with all of the etymology, with all of the parts of speech, and all of the nature and natural law put back in, and the Jeremiah 8:8 occurrences, that's the lies and deceit, all of it taken out. Islam and Shalom. Mario writes, what books are you reading from, if you mind sharing? Okay, so this is the Devil's Pulpit. There's a free link to the free PDF in the description area of this video. So this is our course textbook. Our next course textbook is Ptolemy's. This is our core textbook. Supplementary textbook is Ptolemy's Tetrabiblios. This is one of the foremost authorities on astrology. This is a primary source. All right, so I will put, if there's room, I'll put this in the description area of the video too when I get a chance. Okay, so Islam and Shalom. I'll be back in about I'll be back sometime soon.